All right. We are about to do an interview with Ron Davis, filmmaker. Just waiting on him to arrive. There he is, Ron Davis.
Hello, I'm off camera.
Yes, can you turn on your camera?
No, I'm off camera.
Oh, you're going to be off camera the whole time?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Cece, shh. There we go.
I hear dogs.
I was literally, off camera in the kitchen is what I meant. I didn't realize the camera was off.
Oh. How are you, Ron?
Good, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So you have dogs in your house. How many dogs do you have?
4.
4? Oh my gosh.
2 Chihuahuas and 2 Dachshund mixes. One is a Dachshund Beagle and Jack Russell mix, I think.
I love it.
So they just ran out the back door.
A lot of energy.
Yes.
I'll show you who we have. Here we go. This is the latest kitten. His name is Oliver.
Hi, Oliver. Very cute.
We don't have dogs. We have 2 cats.
Oh, yeah. I started with 1 dog, and then I just kept adding and adding and adding and adding.
Kind of like Danny and Ron.
Well, 2 of them are from Danny and Ron.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, exactly.
Nice. So my first question is, how did you pick Danny and Ron's rescue as the subject of your latest, most excellent film, Life in the Doghouse?
Well, I met them adopting my second dog because I knew who they were, but I didn't know them. I just didn't know who they were. I'd heard about them. I knew about them as horsemen. I knew about them as the dog rescue people. And when I wanted to get a second dog, everyone kept saying, "Oh, you have to go to Danny and Ron. You have to go to Danny and Ron." So I went to Danny and Ron's house in Florida, and I told them what I was looking for, and they pointed to a Chihuahua, and I went, "No way! I don't want a Chihuahua."
Why?
They were little dogs that sat in purses, in my mind. And he said, "Well, trust us on this. If this is the dog you're looking for with all these traits and all these qualities." I brought my dog in because I brought her with me. She loved him, so we took him home. And when I looked around and I saw how they did the rescue, and I met them, and I saw their passion and their drive, and just like you could just when you're around them, you just feel what good people they are. And I thought to myself, I don't know anything about you, and I said it to them, I don't know anything about your lives, but you're going to be my next film because I can tell that you're interesting.
I love it. They are so interesting.
And then it took 2 years, like a year and a half, maybe somewhere in that range, because I was finishing Harry and the Snowman, and I told them that I was going to do it after I finished that film. Maybe it was 2 years or a year and a half, and I kept taking them to dinner because they didn't want to do it. They thought they were boring, and they finally agreed to do it.
How could they think they were boring?
I don't know. They thought it was going to be. I know they thought it was going to be mainly about dog rescue, and I kept pulling it back to making it about them because movies are about people.
Exactly.
But they pushed back a little bit in the interview process because they were like, "Why are we talking about my childhood? We should talk about dog rescue."
So where in Wellington is there a Danny and Ron's rescue location?
It's at the horse show.
Yeah.
They don't have like in South Carolina, they have a farm and they have, the giant house, which has been all extended, and there's 70 dogs or whatever, on that property. And then
right.
And they have the farm where the horses are at, where the big dogs are at. So there's another facility. But here, they bring them down more piecemeal from there because they don't have a facility here. They do they bring them to the horse show. They have some of them in their house. They do a lot of foster when they're here. A lot of people foster dogs for them. Since they don't have the capabilities down here to do that, to keep them all, but they want them all in a home every night, not in a kennel. It's the same idea, but they just don't have like a Danny and Ron's, rescue in Florida.
Is it at WEF? Is that where it is?
At WEF, they set up a booth every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they have dogs there and volunteers there. And those dogs either go back to the house with Danny and Ron, or they go to one of their foster parents until they get adopted.
That's amazing. So wait a minute, do they ever work with Georgina Bloomberg? Because she gets dogs adopted too.
Oh yeah, she's a big supporter of theirs. Has been for many years.
Ah, yes. Yeah, she's great.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a message behind the film Life in the Doghouse, or is it just a feel-good movie, in your opinion?
I think it's both. I think that there's a lot of lessons. There's if I could had a nickel for every time someone said, I didn't realize that puppy mills were online, and that those online were puppy mills, or I didn't realize that puppy mills were that, horrible for the dogs, or the spay neutering issues, all the different issues that are important to them. I made the film so that it would not be like I was beating you over the head with all the dog issues, but
Right.
that they would be there underneath the story, and that you could walk away with either feeling simply just really good because they're great people, or having different ideas about like, well, maybe I should, people walked away and said, I'm never buying a dog again. But yet in the movie, Danny and Ron don't talk about people who buy dogs as bad people. They say they understand it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I tried to address all of the issues around dog rescue, lay them out there, and let the people figure out which ones resonated with them or not.
But ultimately,
hopefully, I wanted everyone to walk away with a feel good about Danny and Ron. I feel good about what they do in their own lives. Adopting versus buying. Just subtle things. It didn't have to be a lot. If one person is my next dog I'm going to rescue, then it did its job. And I know Danny and Ron feel the same way.
I think you succeeded. I think it's beautiful.
Oh,
Everyone should see it. Everyone should see it. Tell us about your background. How did you get into filmmaking and why?
I was living and working in New York for 15 years in the book publishing industry. I was a sales and licensing executive.
Uh-huh.
And I managed sales teams and sales calls and rights around the world. And it was really fun and interesting, but filmmaking was my hobby. So I would like to school at night, and I worked on little short films and things during weekends and vacations. And then I was afforded an opportunity to move to Florida and pursue this full-time as a career and turn my hobby into a career. And so I thought, let's give it a try, but now it's better than ever.
So you moved to Wellington and pursued filmmaking?
Right. I had done pageant already, because I did pageant at night, on the weekends, on vacation, because I was working when I made that movie. And then I started shooting Miss You Can Do It for about maybe 6 months to a year, and then I put it on the shelf. And so my first movie as a professional, where I was in my career, was Miss You Can Do It. Because I left publishing, and then within 6 months had an HBO deal for that film. So
that's amazing.
I really lucked out.
Yeah. And what's the hardest thing about filmmaking, the most challenging thing for you?
For me, it's raising the money. Honestly, I love making the movie, and making it creatively is very challenging. Being in an editing room, I'll talk about it from two perspectives. The creative side is challenging because you have to go into an editing room with 100 hours of footage and find a story that you can make riveting and interesting and dramatic in 85 minutes, 90 minutes. It's really hard. It's kind of like putting, if you get a 1,000-box puzzle and you open it and you flip it out on the table and all the pieces are white. And not until you put them in the right places will the picture emerge.
Mm.
It's kind of the same way with the documentary. You're constantly trying, how can I make this work? How can I make the story work? How can I connect all this? Because you're just shooting real people. You know, none of it's staged. We don't set up scenes. We don't. So creatively, finding the story and editing it into it is really hard. But my least favorite thing is raising the money. Because if you're a filmmaker, especially a documentary filmmaker, you are a development director. First and foremost, not even first and foremost, but yeah, it is first and foremost. Because if you don't have the money,
do you have somebody else to raise the money for you?
No, I'm the best one at it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because, well, it's not that I'm the best one. It's just the director is the best one to convey the passion for a film, the passion for a story, why we're making it. Because I'm the one that stuck with it for 2 years, 3 years. You know
it inside and out,
and you have to love it and want it, and to get people on board to want to make donations and be a part of it, you have to get them excited the same way that you are. So there's really nobody better to do it. There's no one that can do it except the director or a producer.
So how long did it take to make Life in the Doghouse?
That one was pretty fast because I raised the money. And I raised the money relatively quickly. I was able to just plow through it, and so it was about 2 years, I want to say, from beginning to end when then it was done. So that was pretty quick.
What's the average length it takes for somebody to make a film usually?
It could take 2 years, like mine was. It could take. I'm working on one now that we started shooting in 2016. I'm still working on, still trying to raise money for. So we're coming on 5 years now, and that one actually started 2 years earlier by doing development. We started shooting in 2016. We started in 2014, getting to know, finding the characters, getting them to trust us, things like that. So it's long.
I saw Life in the Doghouse on Netflix, but what other platforms can people see this on?
iTunes. I believe Amazon. Let me look.
I think Amazon Prime, right?
I'm going to double check while we're on the phone.
Oh, amazing. Okay. I could have my daughter check. Can you check?
Life in the Doghouse is on Blu-ray and DVD on Amazon and Prime Video. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's Amazon, Netflix, iTunes. I'm sure there are other little places that I don't know about, but those are the main ones that I think people.
Yeah, I think people will see it either through Netflix or Amazon or iTunes or YouTube, right? YouTube?
No, it's not on YouTube.
Oh, it's not on YouTube? Okay. Tell us about your earlier films. Like, start with Harry and the Snowman in 2015. How did you get the idea for that one?
That one came from the book because I used to be an equestrian back in the 80s and the 90s. So I knew
what kind of equestrian?
Hunter is an equitation.
Okay.
So I knew who Harry was because I knew the Galloping Grandfather. I remember him from The Garden and that era, but I had never heard the Snowman story. When the book came out, I didn't read the book, but everybody told me about it. And it's you could tell that story in 2 minutes, and then you go, oh my God, I want to know more. And so that's what somebody did. They told me about the book, told me about the story, and it just sort of resonated with me. And I thought, oh, this would be really cool. I think I can raise the money. I think that it would be a great story. It's one that was never told. So I called up Harry. I got Harry Delaire's name through Mason Phelps. And he introduced us.
Yep.
I said, how would you like to make a movie about your life? And he was like, great. So like 2 weeks later, I was up in Virginia at his farm.
That's great.
Yeah, Harry was all about it.
And the book is also called Harry and the Snowman?
No, the book is called The $80 Champion.
The what?
The $80 Champion.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And
that's what came out, I forget, a couple of years, maybe 2011, I think it came out.
How about the film Miss You Can Do It that you did in 2013? How did
Sure.
you come across and come about with that?
That one I read about in People magazine. There was an article about the founder of the
Mm-hmm.
pageant. Her name was Abby Curran, and she was the first woman with a physical disability to be in the Miss USA pageant. So People magazine did a profile on her.
Mm-hmm.
And in the bottom of the article, there was her talking about a section of her talking about the pageant that she had started for girls with disabilities. And there was a picture of 5 or 6 girls on stage with the crowns, and they had wheelchairs, walkers, Down syndrome, but they were beaming and smiling so much. And the hair on my arms went up, and I thought, I got to make that. That's my next movie.
That's
So I
awesome.
researched her. I called her high school
Yes.
and got all her information. And within 2 weeks, I was out in Kewanee, Illinois, meeting with her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I wanted to make sure that that film, it was a beauty pageant about girls with disabilities, and I wanted to make sure it was not John Bonet in a wheelchair.
I think it's so important that you covered that in that way. That's just, you've reached a lot of different important topics, and I can't wait to see what you do next. But I also want to ask you about like, how do you secure funding to make a film? Like, do you have fancy dinners, or do you do what's it called when you raise funds online? What do you do?
Oh, Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I do everything. I've done everything that you just suggested. What I try to do, I try to go for grants. So you fill out grant applications for different documentary film funds. That's not my primary way, but I have received some grants before. The main way is I look for angel donors who have family foundations or wealthy people who are interested in the topic and have a stake in seeing this topic brought to the screen.
Right.
So a lot of times when people find out, in Wellington's small, everyone, people kind of know who I am when it comes to the movies, and make recommendations and say to their friends, oh, you got to see this movie and meet our friend. He's doing a new film on blah, blah, blah. And I think you'd love to talk to him. And so I get put together with people and get a lot of money that way. It's a lot of meetings and lunches and things like that. We have thrown big dinners before for heavy hitter donors. I've done the crowdfunding before. Harriet Snowman, I raised the last 100,000 through crowdfunding. So it's a multitude of ways.
Wow. Okay.
Lifting up every rock and looking under it.
When did you start docutainment films, and why? When
I moved here in 2010 from New York, I needed the first HBO needed me to set up an LLC to produce Miss You Can Do It. So I always thought of my films as documentaries, but I wanted them to be entertaining, because in my experience, a lot of documentaries are really hard to watch. They're boring. They're really issue related. They wipe you out emotionally. And I wanted mine to do those things, but also be entertaining, that you could take your family to, or you could take a date to, because it was entertaining. So then docutainment just seemed right.
I know people had watch parties for Life in the Doghouse. So it's definitely, fun, although it has a message. So that's great. What's the most meaningful award or comment you've ever received about your work?
This is the one, I did breeze through your questions this morning, and that's the one that I thought was the easiest question. The awards, I don't really, they're nice. They're really, I love to get it. My films usually do well and they get audience awards.
You've gotten a lot of awards.
So the audience awards mean the audience votes. And it's, I love the fact that my films do well with audiences. They don't do as well with, they're not jury awards where they're looking for hardcore, documentaries that are cutting, and, mine aren't that. But the main thing, the best compliment I ever got was when Danny and Ron said that, because when you're making documentaries, you want to have an impact. You don't just want to have a film, you want it to actually make a difference.
Yes.
So Danny and Ron said that the film changed their lives, changed the life of the
Wow.
rescue profoundly. So that is the greatest gift, because you hope it will. But
Yeah.
they have a new executive director, a new board. They have more support. They have raised more money than ever. Danny and Ron used to have to every year dip into their personal savings account to carry them through the end of the year. That doesn't happen anymore.
They did win the Great Charity Challenge one year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But they still, at the end of every year, were running low on funds, and
Right. Right.
that's no longer the case.
Yay.
They're now able to do things they always wanted to do with seniors, with veterans. So they're
Nice.
expanding. So they're expanding their program. So for me, that's the greatest reward, is that the film actually made a difference.
What are they doing with veterans?
I know they're working on something where they're giving veterans dogs.
That is awesome. I
And I
love
don't know,
it.
and I haven't really spoken to them in detail about it, but I just know that that's the program. I don't know the specifics of it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and they do that with elderly as well. They want to keep dogs in elderly homes.
What do you love most about living in Wellington, Florida?
Wellington, I love because I feel like it's a small town. I mean, and it's getting bigger. I remember in the '80s when I came here for the horse shows, it was really
Mhm.
small. But it's beautiful.
Mhm. It is.
I feel like it's safe, um, and it's got a sense of community to it that I
Mhm.
really enjoy. I know all the vendors and the people that I use in the stores. I know a lot of my friends are from the equestrian industry, so I know, I just, there's a sense of community that I really enjoy here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Know all the restaurant people and our favorite restaurants. It's that kind of a place.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, Franco Bistro.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we haven't been there really that much in the last 4 months,
Well, yeah,
but
because of COVID-19. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. But
But
you
in
can pick up.
general, we used to be there like 3 times a week.
Mhm. Tell us about your family and well, you already told us about your pets, but tell us about your family.
Well, I'm married to a Wellington realtor named Luis Rodriguez,
Mhm.
Lusrodriguez, just so when you play it back, you can get it
Okay.
right. And we've been married for coming on 3 years. We've been together almost 10.
Mhm.
So it's Louis and I and our little family.
Mhm.
My mom and sister live in Ocala,
Mhm.
and my mom's retired. My sister, uh, up until recently, worked for Scholastic, but with COVID-19, there was a 500-person layoff.
Oh no.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Uh, my dad is deceased. I was, small family.
Mhm. And what advice do you have for a young student interested in filmmaking and maybe 3D animation?
Now, I saw that question too. I don't know anything about 3D animation.
That's okay.
It's not of interest to me. At this point in my career, I don't see myself using it or putting it into a film. But, I think determination, just keep at it, because it's so hard. There's so many obstacles. There's so many walls. There's so much that's discouraging about making films, because it's hard to just keep at it. If you have a dream, keep at it, keep learning, and surround yourself. This is what I did. Surrounded myself with people that were better at their jobs than I would be. So, for example, the cameraman, the sound man, the editor. Don't try to really hire people that are the smartest in the business and let them teach you. And then your movies will be better.
Yeah.
If you try to be a control freak, your
Yeah.
movies are it's just not going to work, because it is really the most collaborative thing in the world. For example, in a documentary, an editor is as important, in my opinion, as important, almost as important as the director, because
Mhm.
the editor has to take everything that's in my head that I filmed and somehow construct it into an 85-minute movie, when I've been maybe shooting for 6, 8 months, 9 months, and I've got 85 hours of footage. um, it's a really collaborative job, and it's an important job, and you want to have somebody that's way better at it and doing it for 20 years than somebody new out of school.
I know what you mean. I'm a playwright.
Oh,
And so I have seen where you write the script, but then the actors bring some funny stuff and some new stuff to it, and they add some lines, and that's okay if you're willing to roll with it, and it gets
Yeah,
better through collaboration. Yeah.
yeah,
So
100%.
yeah. Um, so how do people follow you and your work? Do you have a website or a Facebook page?
Yeah, there's docutainmentfilms.com is
Mm-hmm.
my webpage, and you can sign up there to any of the movies mailing lists, and stay in touch that way.
Great. And you have a Facebook page too?
I do, but honestly, I don't really use it. Docutainment Films on
Okay,
Facebook.
so you go with the website.
I
Yeah.
go with the website. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I have a young filmmaker here with me, and I'm just gonna see if she has any last minute questions.
Sure.
Any questions? No? Okay. Okay. We're good. We're good.
Okay, good.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add that I didn't ask?
No, I think that was pretty thorough. Now, this will come out when?
Today.
Oh, today. Oh, great. Would you send me a link when it comes out?
No.
No.
I'm just kidding. Yes, I will.
Okay, great.
It'll come out on aroundwellington.com, and I'll send you the link.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your interest.
I think it's such a good film, and I'm a cat person, and I loved Life in the Doghouse. So I think everybody should see it.
Well, hopefully they will. We're trying to do a series. We're trying to work on doing a docu-series where we get a little deeper into the guys and maybe do it like 8 episodes where you really get into the down and dirty with them.
I just need to stop somebody from coming over here who's not wearing clothing.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're good. We're good. Okay. Thank you so much, Ron. It was such a pleasure
You're
to meet
welcome.
you.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Yes.
All right. Have a good day and
Have
go
a
put the
great
person's
day.
clothes on. Bye.
Bye.
That was so unnecessary.